good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Date today is the 5th of January, year of our Lord 2024. Welcome to yet another edition of The Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle. We're going to do something unprecedented. The first, 60 seconds of the show is where I have everybody's attention, okay? Because that's where people who are still figuring out timestamps where they want to jump, figuring out what's happening in this episode that they care about. The first 60 seconds, they're still here. So I want to do something because I want to show everybody something. We don't do ads on this show, famously. Even if, not even mid-rolls, by the way. Just going to pat myself on the back. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. I don't play mid-rolls during these episodes. I think there has been, one or two where I just was, speed rushing. I was speed running it, and then I maybe forgot. So maybe a few every now and then, some will slip through the cracks. But for the most part, when it's, turn on monetization, I'm like, yes. Do you want to use mid-rolls? I'm like, no, for the full hour. You're fucking welcome for that. However, we're about to do a free ad. Not for a corporate company, though. Literally just for some guy. Because I got an email last night. I was going over everything for the show and everything that I wanted to read. And I see this email that was like, Motown Noah, you need to see this. I was like, okay, all right, I got to check this out. And we got an email from a guy who is trying to do some short form content for me. His name is Elijah. He's a video editor and a social media manager. Now, he sent me a short that he had made from the last podcast that we did when I was talking about how I didn't make a video about the Pistons despite them actually winning a game. It just wasn't in my heart. I didn't know what it was, but I just didn't feel it. And it was really, really good. We're going to show it in just a second. Here's the thing. I can't pay this guy. I can't pay this guy as much as I'd like to. He's fucking amazing. You're going to see this thing. He did a really, really good job. I can't pay this guy, but I think somebody should. So I'm going to play this, and his email's going to be on the screen. His name's Elijah. And if anybody wants a social media manager or somebody to make short-form content for them, they can check out this guy. All right, let's all watch the video really quick. The Detroit Pistons beat the Toronto Raptors. We broke the streak. Did not make history. If you're going to be this bad, you might as well just have the record. It's like Alex Rodriguez retiring at 697 home runs. To see how much it meant to those players, that was incredible. The spectacle that they had become, the fact that people were watching us, and there was something tangible about this team that you could identify and be like, this is kind of why we're all watching. That spectacle ended. Now you won a game, and now you're not on this big losing streak, and now you're just another bad team. Ever since Cam Thomas said what he said about nobody wants to be that team, that's the craziest thing to hear about your team. The Detroit. I like how I was like, I'm going to give this guy some credit. I'm going to finally veer credit in somebody else's direction. I'm going to put his email on the screen, and I'm going to pick the most unreadable font with the most unreadable color on the most unreadable background that I can possibly imagine. Elijah at murkyphantom.com. But he nailed that video, right? That form of content where it's somebody else's content that somebody else is just editing, right? On their own time. But with that music in the background, the perfect amount of visuals, it's perfectly stimulating, right? In all the right ways. This guy's great. He knows his role on the team. In the art of editing, this guy knows where he falls, and I love it. Somebody's got to pay him. Again, it can't be me. This is the best I can do. So maybe when you email this guy and are like, hey, let's link up. I need a guy to make me some TikToks, right? Be like, I saw your shit on the Coping Hour, so that way he knows where his opportunities are coming from, right? This is the best. This is the best that I can do. All right, let's jump into today's show. I was playing the finals with a buddy last night, which, if you guys don't know, is a free-to-play game right now with 100% destructible environments. It's like a battle royale, but it's not at all. If Escape from Tarkov had a baby. I don't know. It's kind of like an extraction thing. It's really fun. It's free-to-play. You have to be on next gen or on PC. It's kind of a performance eater also. I don't get the best frames in that game. And I have a really good CPU, and I have a 3070, and still my performance is it's fine. It's fine. But anyways, I was playing the finals with a buddy last night, and he was like, is the Coping Hour, a self-admitted non-listener of the show, by the way. He goes, is Coping Hour a Pistons show? And I was like, no, but I'm going to talk about them in every episode. And even though you guys send a lot of Pistons-related emails, admittedly, I never really read them because I talk about them so frequently that probably whatever your question is, I've either just answered it or I'm going to talk about it pretty soon anyways, so I just usually can kind of tackle those on my own. Feel free to keep sending those questions in, but for the most part, I just never really have to read them because I always end up addressing it. What's the flavor of the week? I'm mad at Monty Williams. It finally happened when I'm kind of like, all right, I need to start blaming you for this shit. What the hell? Like, yeah, cool. They win a game and everybody's really happy. And like for a few nights, whatever, there's like a grace period where who cares what happens with them because they finally won a game. Good job, guys. But then there's, you finally, get back to reality and you're like, oh, so we're still giving Marvin Bagley like healthy scratches in place of James Wiseman. Oh, we're still doing that? Oh, okay. Why can't Jaden Ivey get the minutes, just a crumb of the minutes that Isaiah Livers or Killian get? And I say that as a guy who's like actually been kind of nice to Killian this year. Because for the most part, he's kind of been an NBA player with some really, really bad games sprinkled in. You know who else has been an NBA player this year? Like arguably the most NBA player he's ever been, Marvin Bagley. And we're like, imagine in 2024 now, right? There are games where Marvin Bagley doesn't play. If I told you that 3 years ago, you'd be like, oh, wow, go figure. Yeah, but he's actually healthy, and it's not because he's bad. It's not. It's because the Pistons want to get a good look at Wiseman, quote unquote. The fuck? Still? Send him to, like, the cruise. Send Asar to the cruise, honestly. If you're not going to play him in these fucking games. The Pistons let up 150 points in a basketball game, not in regulation, but still let up 150 points. And your best defender is just on the bench. Like a lot of the time. We talked a week ago about how a new criticism that I had of the Pistons is that they just had too many guys who can't do fucking anything without the basketball. Well, you know who can? Asar Thompson can. He's not playing. They just won't play him. They won't give him a role, a defined role. You know who else can do that? Marvin Bagley. Give him the ball while he's moving. To be fair, Cade does a really good job of that. The Pistons do a really good job of utilizing Marvin Bagley the right way when he does fucking play. It's been weird. It's been weird watching Monty Williams coach this team. And, like, how much leniency I had to start the season because I'm like, well, he's Monty Williams. Like, he's Monty fucking Williams. He'll be fine. Whatever. Like, he's a new cook in the kitchen. Like, give him a minute. He'll be fine. He's Monty Williams. You didn't just pay this guy all this money for no reason, right? And then fast forward to January 5th, 2024, record scratch, freeze frame. You're probably wondering how I got here. Type shit with Monty Williams. What the fuck? Am I being held hostage? Do I have Stockholm Syndrome, Monty Williams? What's going on? What's going on? Why can't Marvin Bagley play? Is Alec Burks back? Are we all kind of like, damn it, Alec Burks. All right. After that shot that he hit to send it to OT, are we all kind of like, all right, I'm not mad at you anymore. Fine. Because he's been on a heater for like a week. We got an email that was like, Kevin Knox has been kind of good this year, hasn't he? Kind of a fair season for Kevin Knox, no? No. What the fuck? No. He still stinks, by the way. He still stinks. I don't care if he's actually put together a few games. The other night he put up a game where he just went berserk. He went berserk. And everybody let me know about it. Did you see that Kevin Knox game? Yes, I did. I did, by the way. Okay. He's in the league. He's good. Like, he's good enough to be in the league, but he fucking stinks. You know who else kind of stinks, but is like good enough to be in the league? Isaiah Livers. What's going on there? There's definitely a trend of the Pistons playing the guys who are on expirings a lot. And I think that sneaky might be like a GMs, the Pistons are on the phones. I'm sure they are. And these other GMs are like, hey, can we get a look at this guy or this guy over these next few nights? Maybe it's because we're playing them, right? And they want to look at them in person. And that's why some of these guys are playing extra minutes, is because they're on the block. You know, maybe not, but it's just how I'm wired. What a corny thing to say. I've been getting really, really, really frustrated for sure. Because now now that you've won that game, you know, it's still like the season's over still, though, right? Once you see what Monty Williams will roll out on any given night, like he said the other day, and I honestly respected this. I respected this a ton. They were like, why did you play James Wiseman so much? I think this was about Wiseman. It might have been about somebody else. I'm already forgetting. But I think it was, why did you play James Wiseman so much? And he was like, honestly, dude, I just woke up and that shit was vibes. He's like, sometimes you just have to go with your gut and not explain anything. And he's like, that's what I did. I was just like, I woke up. I was like, I just want to fucking start James Wiseman today. That is the most, like, that's not even chaotic neutral. That shit's just chaos. What the fuck? Monty Williams can just roll out of bed and be like, oh, I'm going to play James Wiseman 45 minutes today. Oh, what do you think? What the hell? Go back to sleep. We got to get this guy a new mattress. What the hell? Maybe one of those ones that, like, I was sleeping on one like 2 weeks ago that can vibrate. Huh? I tell you what, though, after like 10, 15 minutes, you get a little nauseous. Like, you feel almost like seasick. And I've never been seasick before because I'm a grown-ass man. I love the sea. I would love to die at sea. Like, it's just in my biology as a guy. I'm like, I would fucking love to die at sea. Let's move on. Got an email here from Tom, and it's got some layers to it that I want to peel back, that I want to dive into. Subject line: my team's engine needs an oil change. Hey, Nick, I am currently on vacation with my girlfriend and needed to fire this off while it was fresh in my mind. And I'm sorry for the manic episodes that are my emails, but this question is valid in my opinion. Yeah, I already need to peel back the curtain. Tom here is on vacation with his girlfriend. He had sent 2 semi-long emails in 16 minutes. So the idea that this guy's girlfriend is like, hey, babe, come on, like, let's go to the beach. He's like, hold on. I got to send this guy on the internet this email about my sports, about my favorite sports team. Thanks for the email, Tom. I'm still reading it. I don't know why I say that like I'm done reading it. Back to the email. As a Wizards fan for my entire life, I've bought into the role players more than most. Nene and Marcin Gortat are 2 guys who I invested myself in during high school. Even then, guys like Garrison Matthews have earned my love at times. I know you have had this take about being a fan of the oil that makes the machine run is better than rooting for the machine itself, but I've lost all love and respect for these Wizards role players. Outside of Taj Gibson, none of these guys have earned an ounce of anything from me besides contempt. I think of the Anthony Galen and Mahimi type players of the world, but I just want to give them the respect they deserve, and I can't. Do you think there is a time where we can stop rooting for the oil just because it's making the machine run worse? I know you would point to guys like Alec Burks and James Wiseman, but do you still see redeeming qualities, or has it reached the same level for you as well? Just need some help coping here. Thanks for the email, Tom. Hope you're having a good vacation, dude. Stop sending fucking emails on your vacation. That's insane. The idea of being on vacation, being like, I have to send an email. Even if it's for like shits and giggles. You're goofing in an email. Maybe I would do that. Anyways, I'm going to answer your question by giving you a player that like kind of ruined my formative years of watching basketball. I don't think I've ever said this into a microphone before. I don't know if you guys have been able to see this with my beard. I haven't showered today, so it's just so wiry and it's pissing me off. Steve Blake kind of like ruined my world for a while. I hated Steve Blake. When I tell you I would turn the game off when he would check in. Like, imagine you're watching a game with the fellas, right? This happened. And like one of them just like fucking changes the channel. It's not even like it's not even a commercial. He just changes the channel. That was me if Steve Blake would check in to the game. It always happened with Golden State. And also, who else did he play for? Yeah, Detroit. And that was tough because for a while I like stuck to it, and I just like I wouldn't watch if he was in the game because I hated him. And so even then I was still wired where it was like I would just rather root for the role player, especially, and that makes sense though as a Detroit sports fan, where it's like those are the guys that we always end up caring about more. Like you think about some of those early or not, well, early 2000s to like late 90s Red Wings teams, even the 2008 team. You think about the Pistons in general, they're like all role players. Like, none of them were stars. The closest one that we ever had was Isaiah Thomas. He was a star, but you know what I mean? Like, everybody else, it was about the shit that was on the margins. So it just makes sense that that's what me personally, why I would identify more with that. But boy, did he kind of like work his way into my heart. He did a little bit. We just had this conversation about Kelly Olynyk too, where when he came to Detroit, all that I knew about him, not knew about him, but all that I cared about and that was in my head about him was that he broke Kevin Love's shoulder. I also hated him at Gonzaga, so it was like already a thing with him, and the Kevin Love thing just didn't help. What happened with him? Worked his way into my heart because he was kind of awesome. Kelly Olynyk was kind of awesome. Steve Blake was just kind of a bulldog, like he would fall on a grenade for your franchise kind of a guy, you know? And we love that as fans. Do I think the Wizards have any of those guys? Not really. Daniel Gafford, does he count? I would say him. I remember, I think the last thing that I ever texted Kevin O'Connor about and then like never bothered him again. This was probably like a year and a half ago at this point. I just like randomly texted him in the middle of the night. And I was like, would you trade Chandler Hutchison for Daniel Gafford? He was like, no. But I think there was like a period at the end. It was like N-O period. I was like, oh. Was that not a good text? Huh. How do you get over it with like a role player that you just like don't vibe with, that you're just like, I fucking hate this guy? You won't, by the way. I'm still in it with Kevin Knox. And to your point, right? You said that I would identify like Alec Burks and James Wiseman. I would identify James Wiseman 100%. He's like a suspect here, 100%. If there was a lineup, I would. It's him right there. It's number 13. It's that guy, James Wiseman. Right? I would also throw Kevin Knox in there, 100%. Let's move on. We have a bandwagon etiquette email here from Grant. Subject line: when do bandwagoners become real fans? Hey, Nick, I'm a Bucks fan. I live in Wisconsin, and I watch Bucks games about once a week on streaming site Redacted. I started following the NBA in 2018, right when the Bucks started to actually get good and Giannis became the Greek freak. I am, by definition, a bandwagon fan. Since 2018, despite some painful playoff exits, we won the chip in 2021 and are still top contenders. Should I be considered a bandwagon fan until I experience the team being bad, or is there a time spent rooting for the team threshold that I have to meet to solidify my true fan status? Thoughts on bandwagon fans and how fans should transfer to being real fans. Best, Grant. Thanks for the email, dude. This is an awesome question. Because I think 2018 at this point, you're good. At 6 years later, you're good. You're fine. You've made it. You're a Bucks fan. Congratulations. Because even though in the last 6 years, to your point, the Bucks have been good the entire time and have even won a championship, there have still been some hardships through that. There have still been some moments of uncertainty and like kind of pearl clutching a little bit. Where you didn't know if the wheels were about to completely fall off, right? There were moments where even if, truthfully, every time there was a Giannis going somewhere else rumor, I never believed it. Truly, I never did. Because I heard his interviews. I saw, like, him being in that city, what it meant to him and vice versa. Like, I was like, he's just not, that shit means too much to him. He's never leaving that. And I feel like people always took just historically what stars do at face value with his set of circumstances, and it just wasn't the same thing. It just wasn't the same thing. Like, Giannis in Milwaukee is just like a marriage, dude. But anyways, if it's not a years thing, because what would the years be? I guess, I don't know. I guess I'm saying 5, but I don't even care about that. At this point, like, just through virtue, like, you've been grandfathered in as a Bucks fan. But otherwise, yeah, I think you would have to stick around for, like, 2 full bad seasons. Because 1 full bad season and then getting off is kind of like, okay, well, the ride stopped and you got off. You know what I mean? But if you're like, there are just too many variables at play here, right? Because let's say you jump on and the team's good for 2 years, right? And then the magic is over. You stick around for another year and you're like, well, maybe I just want to stick around for 1 more to see if it's actually over. And then you stick around for 2 bad years. So now you've been there for 4, 2 good, 2 bad. Are you allowed to get off at that point? I don't know. Maybe. To me, though, dude, it's so easy, honestly. and I feel like I have the grounds to say this as somebody who roots for a team that, I don't know if you've checked the standings, isn't very good. It's so much easier to me to fall out of love with basketball for a little bit than it is like football. Because football every week feels so consequential that, and like it just feels so much bigger, which it is, but it just is. I mean, objectively for a million different reasons. But even when like the Lions stink, I'm just like every week I just like have to be dialed in. I don't know. Obviously, when it's baseball, if your favorite baseball team stinks and it's not on some like love of the game shit, it's so easy to check out. You're just not even there. Like October, the World Series happens, and you're like, oh, thank God it's over, right? I don't have to hear about baseball anymore. And then you blink, and catchers and pitchers are reporting for spring training. You're like, what? Which, by the way, doesn't that happen like technically soon, like within the next month? What? The season just ended. Oh, okay. And then you blink again, and they're like doing the home run derby, and you're like, oh, they still do that? Oh, okay. Oh, Shohei's in it this year? Oh, sick. And then he hits like 2 home runs. You're like, what? Didn't that happen like 2 years ago? He just like didn't do anything at all, and everyone was just kind of like, oh. I'm sure the ratings just plummeted after he was an exit. Back to the email. I keep going. I keep trying to leave the email. Need to be wearing a leash or something for the email. Pause. What the hell? I don't know. I think if you're gonna be in the mud with this team, again, there are so many the context to it matters in such a way. But I feel like, you know, as somebody who's been rooting for a bad team for like consistently, like back to being a fan, probably like 9 years now, right? Because like I fell out of love with them after the Chauncey trade. We brought in AI. I was like, I don't know who this guy is. I don't care. Like real life, I was like, I don't know who this is. I don't care. He's not Chauncey. Don't want him. Because I was like ride or die for my guy, man. So many Blazers emails. I'll give you a quick spiel on the Blazers. I think Chauncey is like a great locker room dude. Like I think he's a great guy to have around the players. I don't know why he's the coach. I think they just need like a vibes guy. Like, haha, like, oh, they just need a vibes dude or something in the room, like a vibes guru. But like they actually do. I think Chauncey's perfect for that. If you want to have him as like not an assistant GM, but something that adjacent, like a consultant, just have him as like a franchise consultant, so that way he's in the building and he can be around the players. Love it for Chauncey and the Blazers. But as a coach, I'm just confused what he does. Let's move on. Gambling email here. Subject line, why is sports betting normal now? Hey, Nick, sports betting is everywhere in North American sports. It has transcended sports, and now you can even fucking bet on who will be on the Epstein list. At some point as a society, we have to realize that gambling has gone way too far. I feel like this is our generation's cigarettes, where stats and studies will come out in like 20 years talking about how ingrained gambling has become in society and how we are idiots for even doing it. Now, I'm not some fucking prude that wants to ban it, but I feel that specifically parlay culture has become incredibly harmful. Some of my college-age friends who never had a thing for gambling beforehand are now betting hundreds on parlays every weekend while they watch their NFL, MLB, and NBA games. I get that it brings in a huge number of fans and money to the game, but at some point, it's bound to backfire, right? I mean, it's not just an adjacent industry. The NFL/NBA have official betting sponsors. Thoughts on this? Is it too late to change this? Are parlays here to stay? Am I just a dork, or am I just a dork who needs to chill? Best. Thank you for the email, dude. This is one of those issues that I feel very deeply about, as somebody who has been affected by it. Because as somebody who has been the guy who is like at his job and like would go into the back room and like the second that I find out that my 8-leg parlay broke and I'm like, how am I going to eat this weekend? And then immediately finding a reason to be like, hey, can I stay back here for like 2 more minutes? I got to like do something. And then the thing that I'm actually doing is just putting together like another, like, okay, what's the next? It was like it was during the like the second round of the playoffs in the NBA, and I was like, okay, what's the next game? It was like the Hawks versus somebody, and I just like quickly had to throw together like 6 legs just so I could maybe win enough. You know what I mean? And what does that always include? In order to spike the odds, you got to throw in on like the same game parlays. You got to throw in like who's gonna score the first basket and shit like that, right? And the second that you get that wrong, your whole leg is busted. And what people are gonna tell you is like, that's just horrible gambling. Why would you put that in a parlay? Yeah, Yeah, right? But idiots like me are just like, I gotta chase that feeling, man. I just gotta know what it's like to win. It's crazy. It's crazy how integrated gambling is with broadcasting now. How it was like this taboo. And the truth is, this much money was always in it, and people have always done it. It's just now it's legal, so it's just more on our faces, and like now it's okay to admit. But everybody was already doing it before. It wasn't that hard to gamble online. You know what I mean? But what's really scary about it is how it's marketed, to your point, towards like kids. And you were talking about college age kids, but I'm talking about like 18-year-old kids. You know what I mean? I don't love how willing a lot of people are on YouTube specifically to take sponsorships from gambling partners. I would encourage a lot of those people to look at their demos and really see who you're marketing this shit to. You know, I'm fortunate enough. I know most of you that watch these are adults. You know, we brought this up in the last episode, and a lot of people were like, yeah, straight up, I'm like a 40-year-old dude, and I watch your video. I'm like, all right, cool. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Love it. Thank you. And you guys can make decisions for yourselves. You can, right? But I just think there's got to be, and I'm not trying to be like the morality police here, if that's how it's coming across, but I just wish there would be some consciousness to like, man, you can win thousands on fucking, if you just do draft picks or DraftKings or whatever. Like, it's just, and that's how this shit's marketed, dude. You look at like ESPN Bet or like BR Betting or FanDuel, whatever, on like Instagram or Twitter, and they'll be like, look at what this fan just cashed. This crazy 8-leg parlay, $5 just won him $250,000. How often they pump that? So that idiots like me are like, whoa, it's that easy? I know sports. I got $5. And then that doesn't hit, and you're like, well, I'll just do it again. You want to know the biggest hole that you can fall into? Honestly, live betting. God forbid. The minute you find yourself betting possessions in the NFL, and by the way, I pray that you don't win one of those, because the second that you do, it's really over. It really goes downhill. Some of you are going to watch this and be like, no, I have self-control. Cool. Good for you. I'm fucking happy for you. Awesome. I'm glad that you have restraint, financial restraint. Not all of us do. Some of us are dumb. Some of us are greedy. Right? I had one where it was a backdoor. I was betting on the Lions, which, first of all, obviously rookie mistake, never bet on your own teams. But I was betting on the Lions, and I had like this 6-leg thing cash. All I needed was for the Lions to finish like plus 4.5 or something, or like minus 4.5. And this was like a couple of years ago. And backdoor cover by whoever we were playing, and I lost like $700. Not I lost $700. I put down like 5 to win $700 or something, but it was like the 6th one that I had done that day, and at the time I wasn't making that much money. So even that, like $30, whatever the math on that would have been, I probably even shouldn't have done that. But because I lost that $700, I was like, so now I just got to do it again. And then I'm live betting possessions, and I'm like, this one's going to end in an interception. And then it ended in an interception, and I only won like $18. I was like, you know what I mean? It's just small things, dude, and then you just end up in a huge hole. I'm giving like, I think maybe too much like anecdotal stuff here. I should maybe try to talk about this in a more nuanced way. But just from personal experience, like, I know how predatory it can be to somebody who is like, I would fall for cult shit easily. I would end up in a cult. It would be really easy to manipulate me into doing that, just because I crave like all the shit that they try to do, like the reassurance and the fucking, not the like the contact or like for the relationship of it, but like the intimacy of like understanding and conversation, and that's like what they provide, right? Some of them, a lot of them, in order to pull you in. Like, I know, God forbid, a Scientologist ever walks up to me, seriously, because I'll be like, you are so nurturing and warm. Wow. Like, what are you offering? What is this all about? And then they're going to like walk me in. We drive past the Scientology building all the time here in Chicago, all the time. And the vibes are so weird. The vibes are so weird. We do not usually do emails like this, and that's honestly because we don't get them. But we're going to do something different here. Email from Rhett, subject line, missing home. Hey, Nick, I'm sending you this email because I'm in somewhat of a rock and a hard place right now and was wondering if you could offer some wisdom to help me make a decision on something. You also come off as the type that likes to go through mental exercises and random hypotheticals, so I figure you might enjoy this. After graduation, I needed a job and moved to Oklahoma because I found a great opportunity to help develop my resume and took it because of that. However, when I left, it was always my intention to move back to my home state of Wisconsin after a year or two of developing my resume, and now the time to make a decision on that is approaching. But I met a nice woman, and I'm wondering if I should stay in Oklahoma. I long to move back to the Midwest as I love living there, and your parents only lived for so long. But I don't want to regret the possibility of missing out on the one. Is there any insight you could give on this? Before I conclude this email, I will throw a fastball or two because I'm aware that this is still mostly a sports commentary show, and I believe there should still be something fun attached to it. My fastball is that I would rather have Jordan Love over Patrick Mahomes to start a franchise today. Also, Luke Fickell will turn the Badgers football program around, and they will end up being ranked top 25 to end next year's season. No spicy Bucks takes from me, just enjoying the ride. Hope your day is going well. I look forward to your input. Thanks, Rhett. All right, there's a lot to unpack here. I love that he went safe with the Bucks because he knows the Bucks are good. He's like, I don't have any takes about the Bucks. Like, I'm just here. It's fine. I'm just happy. But, like, the Packers are playing with house money, so he's like, fuck it. I'll just throw some shit at the wall. Jordan Love over Patrick Mahomes. Okay, sure. Luke Fickell going to turn the Badgers around? I guess. Not really protecting an institution there with Wisconsin football. With all due respect. I've never, as a Michigan State fan, I mean, whatever. They did get us in the Big Ten championship with Russell Wilson. Whatever. On a bullshit, like, roughing the punter call, by the way. I don't even want to talk about this. And I'm getting mad at this guy, and he's sending in an email he wants my input on. Whatever. All right. So this guy graduated, I'm assuming from college, is what you meant. Graduated from college, went down to Oklahoma, got a job to beef up that resume. The plan was to stay down there for a year or two. He's officially stayed down there for a year or two, and now he wants to move back to Wisconsin. But, pump the brakes, record scratch, freeze frame. You're probably wondering how I got here. Now he's met a nice lady. He's met a woman. And he's thinking, do I stick around in Oklahoma? Or do I say, see ya, toots, deuces, and head back to the cheesehead state? The big cheese. All right. Well, here's the thing. So you're out of college. You're probably around my age right now then, right? So you're around 25, 26, probably. So are you one of those dudes who, like, the grind set is your shit? Like, you love your career? You love what you do? Well, then you have to weigh that in. Does going back to Wisconsin, does that get you a better job now that you've beefed up your resume and whatever you're doing in Oklahoma, right? Does that get you something better in Wisconsin? And does that mean more to you than, like, companionship? Because if you want to think about it, what also matters here is, like, well, how long have you known this woman? Because respectfully, if it's only been like 3 months, I'm probably going to be like, well, if you care more about your career, then go to Wisconsin. Like, it's okay to go home. If you're homesick, dude, go home. Whereas even if it's only been like a year, I'd say, hey, man, if this matters more to you, let it play out. If your job is good in Oklahoma, like, homesick is homesick, like, whatever. Home will be there. Yeah, your parents only live for so long. For sure, dude. But, like, you're good. I'm sure you're good. I'm sure they got, like, I don't know, 20 more. I don't want to put a stamp on your parents, like an expiration date. But, like, I don't know, 20 more years probably. You're fine. You got time. Like, have kids, dude. You're good. Have kids with this woman. Come on. No, I don't know. But again, if the work stuff matters more, you just have to factor that in. But if it doesn't matter to you, if, like, you could take it or leave it, and, like, it's a job is a job, like, it's only my career, whatever. But the companionship matters more to you, even if it's been less than a year. If it matters more and you think, she could be the one, then, like, do it. I would also say, are you one of those people that, like, doesn't want to go back to your hometown? Like, you don't want to, is your hometown one of those places where it's like, don't be the guy who didn't leave here? So then moving back there is, like, kind of weird, unless you're going to, like, some adjacent town or city. Like, well, I don't know what your plans here are, right? Maybe that advice doesn't even matter. Because me personally, like, I wouldn't move back to Howell. I don't want to live there. I don't want to do that because then I would, like, bump into people, and I don't want to do that. You just got to weigh the options here. I wonder what his job is. I was really trying to think about it when I was reading it, because the way that he was writing, I was like, is this guy like an architect or something? I feel like I can see what this guy's handwriting would look like, and he sounds like an architect. Also, a guy going from Wisconsin to Oklahoma, that feels like some sort of a Midwestern architectural like pipeline. Wisconsin to Oklahoma. Something fishy's going on here. Maybe this guy's working for like the government. Is this guy working for the Pentagon? Is the Pentagon emailing into the Coping Hour? What is like a schizophrenic rabbit hole I just went into? What the hell was that? This guy's like looking for genuine, thoughtful advice, and I actually was kind of on a roll there giving him some, and then I was just like, this guy's working for the government. He's an asset. I think we talked like a week or two ago in one of the episodes around the holidays, where I was like, I went through this thing in my first serious relationship where like the beginning of it, I had so much guilt that I wasn't seeing them all the time around the holidays. Like there were, moments where like I would have to, and that's just like how it works. Like you just have to spend time with both families. And I was really lucky that my parents were just like, yeah, that's fine. Like you don't need to feel guilty for that. You need to see her parents too, like obviously. And I'm only bringing this up to say like, I don't know if for you it's guilt that you're not around your parents, or it's just like a general, you like to be close to them. Because for me, I've lived out of state between here and California for like almost 5 years now. And that's like crazy. That's like unheard of. I only really get to see I saw my dad at Christmas. I hadn't seen my dad. I couldn't tell you the last time I saw him. I couldn't tell you. I don't even know if it was within the same year. Maybe like in the early summer, maybe. I don't remember though. My mom, I maybe see her twice a year. It just doesn't get to happen. So I feel that, dude. Like truly I do. And like how homesick you can feel in that sense. Like you're just like, I just miss my parents. And I don't, for me, I have to go to 2 different houses. I don't know if you just get to go to one house and both of your parents are just there. If you do, good for you. Good for you. Some of us have to go to 2 different houses in 2 different cities separated by like 30 minutes. Guy. All right? Count your blessings. I'll feel really bad if you're sitting there like, no, straight up, I go to 2 different houses too. All right, okay. But if you go to one house, man, I'm excited to hear what your decision ends up being. Do you have like a lease down there too? Because maybe that factors in. If you have a lease into like the early spring and like you kind of need to get on this quick and like make a decision, there's some stress there, I'm sure. You don't sound like overly passionate about one thing or another. Honestly, by the email, you were just very objective about it, which again makes me think I don't need to keep leading into this architect thing, because you're probably sitting there like, no, I'm a fucking like a tech at a veterinarian. I like administer anesthesia to like animals. And I'm gonna be like, oh, maybe that explains why you're so articulate. I have no idea. I hope some of this helped. I just think I'm about to just stop being helpful at all, I guess, apparently. I just keep Let's move on. Got a monster football slate this weekend, dude. And I never like to do like preview style content for anything, because I don't think, because like what is the shelf life of it end up being? Like a few days, just however long before you upload it, right? And then after that, I don't know, if you're somebody who likes to see like how somebody's takes or predictions age, like if you're like a cold takes exposed guy, like sure, that's food, 100%. But to me, there's just not a ton of value in that content. So at the risk of doing that, but man, what a huge slate. Because I'm looking at games like, if the Bills lose, there's a scenario where they're just out of the playoffs. Huh? Look, at the risk of somebody sicking the parody police on me, I don't really want to live in a world where there's no Josh Allen, no Joe Burrow, and like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs might stink. I don't want to live in that world. I would like one of those 3 guys to be winning something, honestly. Is there somebody else in there that I'd like to see? Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson winning something would be cool, honestly. That'd be sick. Can they win a playoff game? Can they, like, be the best team and, like, be a juggernaut and then, like, make it to the conference championship? At this point, they're already in the divisional, right? Hey, nice, Ravens. You're already in the divisional. Congrats. That'd be cool. I guess if it's not the Lions, it should be the Ravens. And, well, if it's not the Ravens, then I want it to be the 49ers. Cool. We're all on the same page. Texans, Colts. is my main course of the week. I cannot believe that I'm looking at a Texans team led by CJ Stroud and I'm rooting for them. Because the Texans fall under that category for me of a team that was bad when I was a kid, so I hate them for the rest of my life. You know who's broken this? You know who's like beaten these proverbial allegations? The Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, the Cleveland Browns, and technically the Detroit Lions. All bad when I was a kid, and now they're all sweet. Even you can kind of even throw the Dolphins in there, honestly. The 49ers, a lot of years, weren't that great. They had like Frank Gore. What's the earliest Chiefs team I remember? I don't know. Probably Alex Smith. There's somebody before that I remember. Was Chad Pennington ever the 49ers? Or am I just thinking of Sam Darnold? Am I just thinking of a Jets quarterback who like went to the 49ers? I swear to God, Chad Pennington played for the 49ers. I digress. Anyways, back to these games. I'm rooting for the Texans. I say all that to say the Texans fall into that category. They were bad when I was a kid, and they just stink. I just don't like them. CJ Stroud making me root for the Texans. And I am. Win and you're in. It's a playoff game. You know, no Anthony Richardson, even if he was like, I'm not a huge fan. But I like Gardner Minshew less, is the thing. So Texans by 1 million. Dolphins and Bills playing for the AFC East. I know I already did a spiel on the Bills. But playing for the AFC East. That's huge. Jags trying to claw their way in. Trevor Lawrence is like hanging on. His like arms are hanging on by like ligaments. Buccaneers, kind of one of those teams that, as a kid, I was like, meh. And then I was like, oh, Tom went there. Okay, I guess I'm a Bucs girly for a little bit. Bucs need Tampa Bay tie plus Seattle loss plus Green Bay loss or tie. I don't understand what that means. I'm not a lawyer. The fact that there's a Falcons scenario here where they just have to win and Tampa Bay has to lose and then they win the NFC South, Arthur Smith is going to win a division? Huh? At 8-9, Arthur Smith is going to win the division? New Orleans needs what to win the NFC? This is such bad content if I just read scenarios off and like I'm like New Orleans win plus Tampa Bay loss or tie or New Orleans tie plus Tampa Bay loss. Eagles fans are losing their minds. Like Eagles fans, I've never seen them down this bad. It's insane. I cannot. But A.J. Brown, I give him so much credit for trying to put out some fires and being like, no. Like, Nick Sirianni didn't lose the Seahawks game. We lost the Seahawks game. That's how I know those dudes love Nick Sirianni, by the way. They do. They 100% do. But I guess to be fair, I don't think that's what anybody's questioning, and I don't think anybody gives a shit about that. I think people just think Nick Sirianni's dumb. How about these Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers rumors? Ooh, those are getting spicy. I do think, we say this every year, but we've also never gotten to this point. If he wins, I think he's gone. If they do it, I think he's gone. Ooh, impromptu Mad Online. I'm not even going to do a breakout on this, but impromptu Mad Online. A guy, I was doing a spiel on Michigan and how aren't they just going to get their natty vacated even if they win it? And the guy was like, oh, your fucking hater is showing. Like, this is only a level 4 violation, pussy. I'm like, okay. First of all, yes, I'm a Michigan State fan. My hatred is showing. Your school stinks. I hate you. The hell? Second of all, what bothers me is like level 4 violation. What are you, a fucking lawyer? What, did you read the rule book, nerd? Because your team broke the rules so bad and you were like, I need to this can't be cheating. I must read the rule book. If this was Ohio State, you guys would be like, death penalty, which, by the way, it sounds like Ohio State is doing something or did do something. I don't know. And my thing is this, level 4 violation. What the fuck? It's like when the Astros cheated, everybody was like, you can steal signs. You just can't steal signs electronically. That's when it's a crime. It's like a cyber crime. Okay, well, but then there's the argument where what is Michigan going to say? They're like, well, we're just watching tape and we can just happen to see their signs. And it's like, well, yeah. Did we ever get confirmation, by the way, if that was actually Connor Stallions on the Central Michigan sideline? That investigation yielded like nothing. I swear to God, for like 2 days, that was dominating headlines, and it got to a point where the university was even like, "Yeah, we're looking into this." Was there any conclusion there? Maybe I'll just look into that right now, and they'll be like, that was not Connor Stallions. I'll be like, oh, okay. Right now, Michigan -4.5 is the line as of this recording. I like it. Last time Michigan played Michael Penix with a -4.5 line, it was like 2020 when he was at Indiana, and Indiana won. Makes you think. It's also crazy. Hutch was telling a story about when he was at Michigan playing against Michael Penix. And I was like, damn, Michael Penix has been in college football a long time. I mean, what would that have been? At least 3 years ago when he was at Indiana? That would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense. I'm excited for that game. I think it's going to be sneaky, like hit the under. Like hammer the under. It's going to be so weird. Something's going to happen with Michael Penix. I'm saying that like he's going to get injured. I just mean it's going to be one of those situations where he's going to get pressured for like 3 straight possessions, and we're going to think that they're cooked, like they're dead in the water, and then he's just going to uncork one like 80 yards, 85 even, to Rome Odunze, and they're going to be right back in it. We're going to be like, what the fuck? Michigan's just going to get blindsided. Here I am talking about, I don't like doing preview content because I don't think there's a lot of value in it, and now I'm giving like a specific play-by-play, like the hell? Maybe I should gamble on this game. No, Nick. We talked about this. Gambling is bad. Let's move on. We're going to wrap up today's show. You know what I should have mentioned at the beginning? Is that I am not setting a precedent that we can just send Nick all of like our work, and maybe he'll be so generous to show it on the show as like a free ad like he did for this one guy. I'm not going to fucking do it. I'm not. That guy did such good work that I felt legitimately guilty that I couldn't pay him, that he cannot be on my payroll, that I just want him to be on somebody's. So I just wanted to get it out there. And I didn't want the video to go to waste because it looked like he put some time into it. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he's just that good, right? But even then, okay, he's that good. He can just whip that shit up. Sign him, someone, please. It is not an invitation for people to just, because I'm not going to do it. I won't do it. And I also said, what was the other thing I said? I don't do ads on this show. That's like the goal, by the way, is that I can sell this shit to somebody. But I just got to stop talking about bombs on January 6th. And then someone will give me an ad to read. Someone will give me some real American dollars. You know what I mean? But I finally got monetized on Spotify. I might start doing it with this episode. I don't think I will, but it'll probably be on Monday's episodes when I'll start doing it. But I got a copy to read for an ad for Spotify for podcasters, right? And the copy, whoever the copywriter is at Spotify needs to be fucking fired because holy shit, it's unreadable. The amount of like personal touch I'm going to have to add to it to make it sound like it wasn't written by a 5-year-old is crazy. Or like, with all due respect, an actual like American speaking person, like not like a European. It's written in a very European American way. I'm sorry, European. Whoa, Freudian slip. European English way, and it's annoying. I talk America. Ever fucking heard of it? The U.S. of A, baby. Pearl Harbor. Ever heard of it? Dude, I found this at a Salvation Army for like, it's $2. And I have this like really strict, like no hats from Salvation Army. That's like, no hats. But are you kidding me? This was too funny. I waited in line for like 15 minutes to spend $2 on this hat. Good purchase. Alrighty, everybody. Good emails today. Record number of emails sent between this episode and the last one. Like 25 emails. Like to a point where I was like, this is too many. This is like overwhelming. It was amazing and I loved it. Like, please send that shit in. A lot of fastballs. Didn't get to a lot of them today. Alrighty, folks. If you are listening to this on Spotify, you can rate 5 stars. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like. Be sure to subscribe. I will catch you guys
Computers now have primary
in the next
control.
one.
Beautiful.
Primary control.
Beautiful.
Primary control.
Beautiful.
Primary control.